Welcome to another dreadful side quest where we dive into some of the world's strangest and funniest topics and or stories. My name is Vlad, and today we're going to be talking about the deadliest and most defective kids' toys of all time. But yes, kids' toys. We all had them. We all grew up with toys. Some kids choose to use their toys a little bit different than others and use them a tiny bit inappropriately. That came out a little bit weird, so I'm gonna rephrase that. What I'm trying to say is that instead of playing with their toys, a lot of kids decide to ingest their toys, put things into their mouth, their nose, their ears. I know this for a fact because I was that little shit who would do every single one of those things. Like, right off the bat, I can remember a story having to do with me swallowing a little green ninja Lego figure from the Lego Ninjago Lego set. I was a very weird kid, so I was very fond of putting random things in my mouth. And look how I turned out.
Just fine.
But anyway, I got this Lego set. The next day I went to school, I was bragging to all my friends, I got the green ninja. Oh, y'all don't have the green ninja yet. I'm better than you fuckers. And right before I was gonna show them this figure, I had the bright idea of putting it into my mouth. So little Vlad had no common sense whatsoever, and something spooked him while he had this figure in his mouth, resulting in him swallowing the whole green ninja Lego figure. I actually have not seen this Lego figure again. Like, I mean, he hasn't come back out yet, if you catch my drift. So my stomach acid either 100% dissolved him or he's still floating around in there, in the void that is my stomach where nothing is allowed to leave. Because I also have digestion issues. But enough about my possibly special needs brain. Let's dive into some of these deadly kids' toys. So this first toy is called lawn darts. I think I had some of these. Basically, they're just outdoor darts that you play a game with kind of on the ground. They do have like a metal tip on them that's pretty sharp because they're meant to pierce the ground. Yeah, let's give that to kids. I'm sure they'll use it responsibly. Originally marked as a fun outdoor game, lawn darts featured heavy metal tips designed for piercing the ground. Okay, literally exactly what I just said. Unfortunately, their designs made them dangerous projectiles. Numerous injuries were reported, particularly to children, leading to severe head injuries and eye damage. Oh, imagine getting one of those tips stuck in your head or your eye. I have a thing about sharp things and shit going into your eye and parts of your body and stuff. That's why I can't go to the doctor and get shots. Though I should probably go get my flu shot because it has been a few years. But that's besides the point because these darts are pretty much mutilating children's faces. The Consumer Product Safety Commission, CPSC, banned lawn darts in 1988 after a series of incidents highlighting the risks, including a tragic case where a child sustained a life-altering injury after being struck in the head, hitting a nerve in his brain. I had to pause there for a minute. You know, sometimes when something shocks you so bad and you just kind of have to stop and think about what you're gonna say. And there's not much more to say besides this kid is now mentally ill probably because of this dart. Way to go, Mom and Dad. Next time, just get him the entire butcher's kit from Harris Teeter or Walmart. Like, I can't even fathom why a parent would get their kids a sharp object to play with like that. That's really sad, actually. Now, these next toys we're gonna talk about are the very infamous Cabbage Patch Kids. Now, if you don't know what the Cabbage Patch Kids are, they were very infamous in the 70s, 80s, and I believe the beginning of the 90s. And it was one of the most revolutionary toys of its time. I have no idea why, because the Cabbage Patch Kids are ugly as all hell. They all look like babies that belong in nursing homes somehow. I don't know how that makes sense. It just does. Like, look at these pictures and tell me I'm not wrong. They're babies, but they like have the face and the head shape of old people and they're all dressed up like old people. I don't know, it just feels a little bit weird. But not only were these dangerous for kids, they were also dangerous for adults because at the time of the Cabbage Patch Kid craze, people were going absolutely ballistic for these things. Shopping frenzies, fights, very violent shootings, stabbings broke out over getting your hands on one of these damn dolls. Listen to this. The Cabbage Patch craze in the early 1980s led to a chaotic shopping environment, with parents and children alike fighting over the popular dolls. In a particular alarming incident, reports surfaced of children being trampled as crowds surged through the holiday shopping frenzy. That's not funny. I almost just died. I'm not laughing at kids being trampled, that's tragic. I'm laughing at how these adults are for going crazy over these Cabbage Patch Kids. Like, should it really matter how bad your kid wants something if it means you're gonna put their life at risk by being trampled by a million other adults trying to get their hands on these creepy dolls? I don't think it's worth it. Doesn't seem worth it to me. Now next we have Sky Dancer toys. If you don't know what Sky Dancer toys are, they're these toys where you kind of pull a ripcord and they go flying up into the air. There's actually a really funny video out there of a little girl getting one of these for Christmas that's a fairy. She pulls the ripcord and it goes floating up and it flies directly into the fireplace and they're all screaming in the background.
My name is Taylor. I'm going to show you how. This is my new floater by Fairy, and I'm going to show you how it works. First, you put it on here. Then you press the lock it button. That's that. And then it'll fly up in just a second. See? And then.
Oh no!
These whimsical flying toys, which featured spinning dolls that could be launched into the air, quickly became a hazard when reports emerged of severe injuries from the sharp plastic wings. Children suffered from eye injuries, facial lacerations, and even concussions when the toys were misused or malfunctioned. The danger was produced by children aiming the toys at one another, leading to numerous emergency room visits. Basically, when you pull the ripcord on these things and they start spinning with their wings or propellers or whatever they have, they are going so fast that it is the equivalent of the blades of a small drone. It has that same kind of force power. I almost said horsepower, but it's not a damn car. So yeah, pretend you had a little drone and you just pretty much flew it at your kid's face, just I will say though, I did have one of these. I had a blast with it. I thought it was so much fun. I never had any problems with it. Not saying that other kids didn't, but I didn't take aim at my best friend's face and say, hold still, this won't hurt. Ah, yes, here we go. I figured this one would be on the list. Next up comes the Easy Bake Oven. Everybody's heard of these. Every single person in the world. If you haven't heard of these, you're probably living under a rock. It's basically a little oven staged so that your kids can produce cooking skills. They can actually bake in this oven. It is literally just an oven, but for kids. While it's been a beloved toy for generations, the Easy Bake Oven has been linked to serious burns. The original design used a 100-watt light bulb to heat the oven, and children often suffered burns when they were touching the hot surfaces. You know, you really gotta stop and think sometimes. What, like, inspired a person to make these kind of things? Who thought it would be a good idea to give something that hot to a child or that sharp to a child? In one notable incident, a child suffered a 3rd-degree burn when the oven tipped over, leading to a recall and design modification to improve safety. Okay, so this oven was pretty much hot, and it started falling on this kid, and it burned the shit out of him, is what happened. I had quite a few friends that had this Easy Bake Oven, and I will say, yes, it did get quite hot at times because they had the original designs. In fact, when I'd go over to their house, one of them, his parents would not let us use the Easy Bake Oven without them being there. That was probably the only occasion of a smart parent making sure that their kid was not about to get burned to death over this hazard of a toy. Now, I'm reading here, this is kind of gonna be like a little honorable mention, but it has to do with the Furby.
What's that? It's my Furby.
Now, there's only one recorded incident like this, and it's very rare. Hasn't happened again from what I found out. But basically, there was an incident where a child was electrocuted to death by a Furby's malfunctioning wires inside of its skeletal frame. Now, those things are already evil looking enough. I had 3 Furbies, I think. Not the original ones with the creepy plastic eyes that burn into your soul at all hours of the day, but the newer, more remodeled ones with the actual screens for eyes that would like turn on and off, and they would adapt to your emotions depending how you treated them. They'd gain their own personality that way. That's the kind that I had, and I'm about to go off about that son of a bitch because it was the most annoying piece of shit I ever owned. So the one I specifically remember, I actually think I still have it, is the black Furby. Now this Furby was not dangerous, it was just a really bad fucking design. 1, the Furby was loud as all hell. 2, there was no on and off switch for this son of a bitch. And to take out the batteries from the bottom was the biggest pain in the ass because the screws were basically microscopic and it was rare to find a screwdriver that could actually fit in them to take the batteries out. So what would happen is once this Furby was on, it would not stop yelling at you and screaming and wanting things from you until it decided to just go to sleep pretty much at a random time throughout the day. The only reason to turn it off and for it to stop yelling at you was to unscrew the bottom every single time and take out the batteries. So there were so many occasions where we'd be woken up at 3 in the morning by a Furby screaming at me wanting food or telling me it has to go to the bathroom like I actually gave a shit. And the only way to turn it off was to take out the batteries, which we were not about to do because the screwdriver was just impossible to use on it. Pretty sure that Furby was the reason why I don't want kids, because it just would not shut the hell up. I couldn't stand it anymore. But it was just god awful. I'll never buy one of those again. I don't even think they're still making Furbies, and if they are and you bought one, I'm so sorry. I hope they updated their features on it. But yeah, the Furby was pretty god awful. It's the equivalent to a devil child in my eyes. I don't think I have one good memory with that thing. At one point it turned evil and it started like speaking in some sort of Furby language at me, and I'm pretty sure it was like straight up saying slurs at me or something like that. So that's kind of when I took out the batteries and just kind of left it. Haha, this next one I actually have a funny story about as well. Next toy is fidget spinners. You have to know what a fidget spinner is by now. If you don't know what a fidget spinner is by now, you're probably a normal person. Fidget spinners are little sensory toys meant to calm you down or ease your tensions in stressful situations. That was the original purpose of them. The movement is so smooth, it's supposed to relax you. However, there's a lot of people out there that were not using them exactly how they were intended to be used for, and I've actually seen firsthand encounters of situations like that at my school. So back when I was in high school, there was this kid. He wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed, but he had a fidget spinner and he was spinning it as fast as he could. He was like, until it was going like 1 billion miles an hour. He then decided it would be a good idea to hold it up to his teeth and let it hit his teeth. So when he did that, he lost 2 of his teeth. He didn't lose 2 of his teeth. He lost 1 tooth, but the other one was like kind of cracked like right down the middle, and there was a big piece of it just gone. He looked snaggletooth as hell after that, and it was the funniest shit I've seen in years. This kid was a piece of shit anyway, so I didn't feel bad. I don't give compassion where it's not due. Initially marketed as stress relief toys, fidget spinners were later associated with choking hazards when small parts became detached. Reports of children choking on these small components led to numerous recalls. In one tragic case, a toddler required an emergency surgery after swallowing a small bearing that had come loose from the toy, highlighting the importance of supervision when children are playing with seemingly innocent toys. Preach! Couldn't have said it better myself. If you're a parent and you're not sure if this toy's safe for your kids, hang around a little bit. Maybe play with it yourself. See if it's actually gonna kill your kid. See if when you walk back into that room, little Timmy's not gonna be dead on the floor, foaming from the mouth because he put a fidget spinner inside of it. Oh, this next toy, or should I call it a vehicle? I'm not too sure what I should call this, but it's the Razor scooters. It's pretty much the equivalent of an early 2000s saw trap. It was very painful to use. Basically what the Razor scooter was, it was just a normal scooter, but the very bottom part that you stand on was kind of like a swivel, a very loose swivel that would move around pretty much on its own with the slightest tilting of the handlebar if it was in the air. And sometimes when you're trying to mount the scooter, the bottom part will swivel around and hit you square in the ankle. Not joking, my dad actually broke his ankle because of one of these things. He accidentally kicked it, it went around, hit him on his ankle, and then boom, there you have it. He was in so much pain for such a long time after that.
You gotta make it go quick. Make it go quick. Ow!
Again, it feels kind of like a modern saw trap.
I want to play a game. Every time you improperly use a toy, the Razor scooter will swivel around and hit you in the ankle. You have 5 minutes to properly use all the toys I've set out in front of you before the Razor scooter swivels around and completely breaks both of your ankles and you can no longer move. Good luck.
Now that's a game I'd play. These popular two-wheeled scooters have been involved in numerous accidents resulting in serious injuries. Children riding without helmets or protective gear often suffer from fractures. That kind of goes without saying. That's how scooters, bikes, skateboards, roller skates work. Duh! I don't know what that was. One tragic incident involved a child who sustained severe head injuries after a fall, leading to increased calls for stricter safety regulations and the promotion of helmet use along young riders. If you're a parent and you're not putting a helmet on your kids, that is fully on you. If your kid's dead because of that reason, that's on you, nobody else. Helmets have been a thing for generations. They're a thing for a reason, and for some reason, I guess people just haven't figured that out yet until it's too late. But again, when using a Razor scooter, that's not what I would be afraid of. I would be afraid of it coming back around and hitting me in the ankles, bruising me, or breaking my ankles. This next one doesn't even really make any sense, but it's about balloon animals. You know, you go to a circus, you go to a fair, you're probably gonna get a balloon animal. I've had my fair share of balloon animals. Fun as shit. Festive as shit. While not a traditional toy, balloon animals are a common party favor that can pose serious choking hazard. In one tragic incident, a young child suffocated after attempting to inflate a balloon animal. How do you choke trying to inflate a balloon animal? Are you just like... Like, how do you go from blowing into the balloon animal to it going into your mouth and down your throat? Unless you are trying to eat the balloon animal on purpose, that should not be happening. I was actually at the circus one time. I didn't see this happen, but I saw the ambulances for it. So there was this clown and he was giving balloons to all the kids. He was making balloon animals. And while he was inflating these balloon animals, he was holding the loose balloons in his mouth. Now, when he tried to get one of the balloons out, somehow it ended up going into his mouth and down his throat. And it was one of the very long kind, so he couldn't quite get to it, and I don't know if he died or not. That would be pretty wild to quite literally die a clown, so I hope his legacy lived on. I hope he's still well. I hope he's not dead. But yeah, so I have heard of balloon animals being deadly. People are just gonna be people, am I right? But aside from all that, this next one, I didn't actually know that it was a toy. This seems a little bit advanced for a kid's toy. It's the CSI Fingerprint and Forensic Examination Kit for kids. Because there's no better time to teach your kids about murder than when they're 4 years old. I mean, hey, maybe they want to start their careers early. You never know. In 2007, CBS released a CSI Fingerprint and Forensic Examination Kit, which gave the kids a chance to be real-life forensic investigators. Little did they know that the dust included to analyze fingerprints contained up to 7% of one of the deadliest forms of asbestos. Let me repeat myself. Asbestos. They're pretty much little fibers that are used in cement, insulation, ventilation, stuff along those lines, and when you inhale them, they are extremely toxic and can take you out very, very fast. I thought we moved past the whole asbestos things when in The Wizard of Oz, they used asbestos as effects for the snow. At least I think it was snow. I kind of forgot.
Here's a creepy fact about The Wizard of Oz. The snow that falls during the Poppy Field scene in The Wizard of Oz, of course, in 1939 was made from asbestos fibers. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Specifically, the fibers are commonly used in film productions during holiday decorations because of its fluffy snow-like appearance and its fire resistance properties. However, I mean, now it's widely known as just being dangerous to your health overall.
So yeah, that's what they were adding into kids' toys. How they didn't figure that out through final testing for the product, I don't know, especially coming from CBS. That's kind of shocking to me, but it's still kind of funny at the same time. Not because, again, the kids are dying, but because of how stupid CBS was being. But yeah, if I was a little bit sketchy on explaining what asbestos is, the script I was given explains it better. Asbestos is a hazardous material fiber that is capable of causing very quick deaths and lung cancer later in life from a single exposure. Now imagine all the kids that are brushing this toxic dust all over their houses, all over their doors, doorknobs, countertops. I mean, at that point, your family's pretty much cooked. Aunt Jane's gonna be calling your household for the next few weeks wondering why nobody's answering the phone. Little Billy decided to play with the CSI Forensics Examination Kit. Now this last one is kind of wild. You may have heard of these in the early 2000s. Aqua dots.
What can you dot, then spray for fun that stays?
I actually loved these things. These were so much fun to play with when I was little. I was smart though, so I wasn't putting any of them in my mouth. Which is exactly what these next kids did. But it's the outcome that is pretty shocking to me. And if it's not shocking to you, well then maybe go try it for yourself, see what happens. Named the 2007 Toy of the Year. That's ironic given what I'm about to say. Aquadots consisted of tiny beads that could be assembled into different designs and set permanently with just a drop of water. While it sounds harmless, reports quickly surfaced of children swallowing the beads, then later becoming dizzy and vomiting numerous times before slipping into a comatose state. Unconscious, gonzo, they asleep for a long ass time is what those Aquadots were doing to kids. The glue coating on the beads that is activated by water contains chemicals that are metabolized into gamma hydroxybutyrate. Hydroxybutyrate. I think I said that wrong. I'm gonna put it up on the screen and you can judge me. Otherwise known as the date drug. Aquadots was on the market for less than 8 months before being recalled. Really? I remember seeing them around for at least like maybe 2 or 3 years. I mean, I guess to be fair, I only played with them when I went over to my friend's house or when I was in my own house. I don't quite remember if I saw them on the shelves for too much longer after that or not, but I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't. That is terrible. That is shocking. But it gets so much worse, so buckle in that seatbelt because this shit about to get real. After Aquadots were recalled back in 2007, in 2008, child predators were still using Aquadots. There's 3 different accounts of kidnappings from children, and when the children were eventually found, thank goodness they were found, when being tested for different substances, traces of Aquadots were found inside the children. Pedophiles were using these kids' toys to drug children, make them go unconscious, and kidnap them. My God. My brain's collapsing on me right now. It's very hard to process something like that. I can't believe I'm just now hearing about that. That's wild. That feels like it would have been a bit more of a big deal for its time. My parents were probably just trying to hide the scary, scary truth of the world from my little innocent brain. So you know what? I'm grateful I never heard about that until now. Now, to finish off the video, I was given a quote to read for all you parents out there that are giving your kids whatever the hell they want without analyzing it first. So if you're a parent and you have the capability to listen, I recommend you do so right about now. Don't assume toys are necessarily safe because they are appearing on toy shelves. James Swartz, Watch Group. Simple. If that didn't get the message through, you are the mentally ill. I'm sorry. But that's where I'm gonna wrap up the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned what not to get your kids for Christmas, birthday parties, or anything along those lines. I don't think a lot of these are still being made, so it shouldn't be much of a problem for you. Except the Razor scooter. I think that might still be a thing. Don't get your kids a Razor scooter unless you want them with 2 broken ankles. I'm serious. But when you get your kid a new toy, sit down with them for a little bit, play with them with that toy for a little bit, analyze it, make sure that they're not gonna be dead in the following few hours because of your mistake. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe with your little tiny fingers. And as always, I will see you in the next video.